Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the True Life Podcast. Hope everybody's having a beautiful day out there. You know what I can't stand about so much of the music today? It's like somebody fed a soul through a paper shredder. Every chord pre-chewed, every beat recycled heartbeat, every voice stitched together like a harmonic Frankenstein, alive only because the algorithm said so. Enter Adam Lopez, a hard-nosed, road-tested veteran with calloused hands and a spirit carved straight from the American grain. 25 years in the trenches of sound, playing not for charts, not for clout, but because music is the only altar he's ever bowed to. He's carved out his own genre, future blues, old soul wired into new circuitry, a Johnny Cash storm colliding with a Hendrix supernova lit by a splash of Merle Haggard gasoline. He summons sound with the cold certainty of Josey Wales, and when it lands, it cuts like Charles Bronson in Death Wish. Quiet, final, unforgettable. Adam Lopez, thank you for being here today, my friend. How are you?
Good, brother. That's quite the intro. That's wild.
Man, I love you, man. I'm so stoked to be talking to you today. And,
Thanks, dude.
you
I
and
love
I
you
have
too,
known each
man.
other for a long time, man. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
For a
Yeah.
long time. Man.
Yeah. What? I
And
mean,
you,
single digits, right? Like 7, 6, 7, 8 years old, maybe?
yeah,
Dude, that's
yeah.
nuts.
That's out of control. You're one of the only people that I've known that long, and like we're still hanging out. We're still talking to each other.
Yeah. That's
It's
wild.
interesting. It is. But more
Yeah.
than that, like one of the reasons why I not only love you, but I'm so inspired by you is like your commitment and your passion to living a life that's meaningful. Like I think that's so amazing. And sometimes in my darker times, I'm like, fuck, man, how does Adam do it? I should call him and ask him, like, what does he do in this situation? But maybe we could just fill in some people with a backstory because I got a lot of new listeners out here. And maybe we could just fill in some backstory, man. You have been playing music your whole life, man. Maybe you could tell
Yeah.
people about how that got started.
I mean, I had family that was around me making music when I was born. But I remember just like there was something like internally that I just it wasn't like I want to do that someday or I want to like be on the radio or I want to be on TV and like none of that. I just was like that's something like that's the way that made sense internally before I could explain what that was and how to communicate. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's if I was ever born to do anything, I guess that was it. I just knew. So and it's been way longer than 25 years now.
I know.
Like
I was just thinking when I wrote that.
I don't know if you know how old we are now, but we're a little older than we were last time we talked.
Probably closer to 40 years.
Longer, dude.
Longer.
I mean, like it's been there since birth, right? So like when I was 3, 4, somewhere in that range, I had a drum set and a guitar. But by the time I was 7, I was taking lessons.
Man.
Right. So that's well over 40 years.
Yeah. That is a long time, man.
It's why like it doesn't seem like it though. Like it does and it doesn't at the same time. You know?
Yeah. You know, I was watching this video of you yesterday, and it was a black and white video of you talking
I'm
to
not
people.
that old, dude.
Nah, it wasn't that old. Like not kind of like 40s or 50s videos. And it was obviously I think it was on Instagram, and you had shot it in black and white.
Okay.
But it was talking about life and it being difficult and having the tools and the ability to get through those tough times.
Oh,
And
yeah.
man, it was about losing people, man. And that struck me because I have had a lot of heartache in my life lately. But it was really heartfelt, man. And you had your guitar right there, and it was fucking beautiful, man. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what inspired that video, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes for people that want to check it out.
Yeah. I'd gotten a call from a friend of mine, or a text from a friend of mine that was he's a good friend, but he's also a venue owner. So like when I'm through his town, he always asks me to play his place. And he was asking, this was just a few, like less than 2 months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, when you coming through? Like, we want to do a show. And it's like, man, I'm really sorry. Like, I just haven't had, like I've been touring between Colorado and California a lot. And so he's in Arizona. And I was like, dude, I just passed by you yesterday. I'm really sorry, but I just didn't have time. Like, it was a travel day.
Yeah.
And so like when travel days, you just got to do them. You can't really avoid them especially if you're by yourself. Like, it's not like I'm driving, I'm not flying. And I was like, but I'll be back I'll be passing through in like 3 weeks. We'll hook up. I'll try to come say hi. And all my shows were just too close together with too many miles, like date wise, too close together, mileage wise, too far apart. And so I missed him. When I got to California, he had touched base with me and he was like, when you coming back through? And I told him. And when I got there, a mutual friend of ours came to my gig and I was like, yeah, I'm going to try to run up there and see him after this show. And I've got to be, I'm playing in the next state in like 18 hours. I was like, I'm going to do my best.
You're right.
And he's like, I don't know if you heard. And he told me that he had passed away. Like, they'd found his body in the venue. He locked himself in the bathroom, like, I guess the night before. And so I just missed him. And I had no idea, like, when he was reaching out a couple weeks prior to that, I had no idea that that he was in that state. He had reached out about wanting to move, and he wanted to ask about Tulsa, where I lived for years, and he wanted some suggestions about jobs or just lay of the land and stuff. And yeah, just wild to wake up to that, or not wake up to that news. It was during the day, but like, it feels like you just woke up when somebody tells you that to your face, that your friend is gone, by his own hand. It was just, I don't know. I'm still kind of in shock over it. But that was the second person close to me that, took their own life within like 6 months. So that's two in 25, in the year 25. That's wild.
Yeah, man. That is wild. Shout out. What was his name? Or I don't know if you want to say his name, but like,
Matt. His name is Matt Moore.
Matt Moore.
Matt Moore. Yeah, he was up in. He had a place called the Wicked City Pub in Jerome, Arizona, and he was a huge supporter of mine. Like, super fan, but super friend too. Like, it wasn't like a business relationship. So,
man, Matt, we love you, man. If you're around listening, I'm sure he's here somewhere, man. Matt, we love you. We're talking about you.
Yeah, he's around, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, I people reached out to me after I made that, and I was like, I'm not making this for me, or like, right. I think well, I know for a fact, like, my view of what life is usually different than people I talk to.
Of course.
And same with death. Like, I don't view what death is the same way anybody else really does that I have met.
Yeah.
So I'm not. He's around. I'm not. It's not a big train wreck in how it affected me.
Right.
It's like I'd be more concerned about his mother and that kind of thing. So yeah, he's around, dude. I talk to him.
Yeah, I got plenty of them I talk to, man. You call him down whenever you want to.
Yeah. He was a good dude.
Yeah, it sounds like it. What's it like to be on the road like that? Like, you've been on the road forever, man. Like, you have toured so many different places,
Yeah.
and like, what is that like? Like, you're you're meeting new people, but that also takes a lot of independent spirit to go out there and be like, fuck, I'm going to get a gig over here. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to play over here. Like, What is it like to be on the? How long have you been on the road, man? First off, maybe how long have you been doing it on the road, and what is that like?
I mean, ever since I got a driver's license, so dude, what are we talking? 35 years, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just and I've done it in different capacities. Like now
Okay,
it's like I work by myself for myself, which I've always done some version of that, but I've always done that while I was um, also carrying my own band from time to time and also playing guitar and usually like a handful of different bands all at the same time, right? So like I might go out for a couple
right.
days by myself and then meet up with somebody else in another van and park my van and go out with another band, and like I did that for years, you know, where I was just always on a different tour with different people in different configurations. Um, so it's different in all those scenarios. You know, these days it's cool. It's extra cool because I've made a conscious effort to like be more social. To like I've never not enjoyed it, like or taken advantage of the opportunities to enjoy it, like going out to the museum or the movies or
Right.
like the things that you might not get to do otherwise because you might not ever visit this place on your own if you weren't working. So these days, like I take advantage of just about everything that there's time to, and um, like I love to go out to restaurants by myself, dude. It's
Yeah.
cool, you know. When I was younger, I would be like, oh, I got to find somebody to go with me. I can't, so that like little things like that are cool because um, you can put yourself in situations where people will can find you approachable, and you just like
Yeah.
it's so cool to meet strangers, like weirdos. Like I love it,
Yeah.
you know. Um, or like these days I spend more time, and I do this, on purpose. Is I'll book gigs in places where there's outdoor activities because that's if I'm not playing, that's what I'd rather be doing out on a trail somewhere, riding my bike or running or hiking or whatever. So that's been extra cool because then you're you're almost guaranteed to meet people that are more like of your tribe, you
Yeah.
know. Because I think like as a personality, like I'm not really a musician. Like a lot, like most of my friends are musicians, but like when it comes to just hanging out, like I'm probably hanging out with like van lifers and trail runners and mountain bikers, that kind of thing. So um, being able to tour by myself where it's actually financially viable allows me to like spend my downtime kind of amongst those people, which I love. Super rad.
Yeah. The word novelty comes to mind, and I know that when I've traveled some different places, of I'm definitely affected by the environment in which I find myself in. And sometimes it's electric, and sometimes it's a little dangerous or whatever. But I'm wondering, as you're going to these different places and checking them out, does that have an effect on you? And if so, does it have an effect on the music you play?
Yeah, I think so. Right, like you know I'm not much of a party guy or a drinker. Never done drugs, like um, so playing in places where it's usually some type of bar or like dance hall, beer joint or whatever. Um, it's fun, but like I'm not trying to hang out in places like that um, when I'm not working.
Right.
And usually because of how it makes me feel, right? Like I don't mind, these days it's rare, but in the past, like it's not uncommon for me to drink or whatever. But like I'm not trying to live like that. So like at some point it's like it affects the music because you're kind of, especially when you're like a roots musician,
Yeah.
you're kind of living the old songs and writing new versions of those songs from experience. But at a certain point it's like I've been there, done that. Like what else is out there? And I think as I get older, especially now, it's like, well, I don't need to like put myself in those situations to write songs like that are authentic. Like I've put a lot of miles in that
Yeah.
way. So like um, it because it affects your state of being, whether it's emotionally or physically or whatever. It's there's no way it doesn't affect your art. You know,
Yeah.
It's all connected. So I can still write those kind of songs. I just, you know, it's from past experience more than it is from, current experience. But yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think that like I was listening to the new Suicide Doors, the Towns, and like there's an incredible richness in your voice. And I couldn't help but think like this is all of Adam's touring culminating right here. Like it really seems to me on some level like you can't if I listen to my daughter's 12. Let me just put this in. My daughter's 12, so I listen to like a lot of pop on the radio. So don't judge me over here, but I got some Taylor Swift going on over here, and I've got like a lot of these different pop songs, and she's definitely got her own sort of. She likes anime, so we listen to like a lot of like Japanese anime guitar and stuff like that. But it's so studio enriched and stuff. And then when I get to hear someone like you, I feel like I can hear the years on the road. I feel like I can hear the experience. I feel like I can hear, man, I wonder if this got picked up in Tulsa, or I wonder if this is coming from Texas. I wonder if this is one of these Utah joints that he brought this from over here. But like maybe you could speak to that idea of how being on the road for so long and having these experiences in these different places has changed the way you see and play music.
Well, I guess, like one of my biggest pet peeves is when visitors don't act like visitors. Right. So when I go to places, I want to experience what they experience the way they experience. I don't want them to cater to me
Right.
as the guest.
Right.
Right. So um, I think that allows you to pick up some of what they have to offer, and it becomes part of you know your being. And so the influence, it's it's not really quantifiable and it's hard to describe, but it's there. I mean, I always I'll go to my grave and say that I spent like 10 years in Tulsa as a resident, but more years as a musician. But like that time shaped a part of me personally and musically that was so vital to who I am and how I sound now, that without it, um, like I can't even imagine where I'd be, or who I'd be, or what I'd sound like. It's not only that, but like I can't imagine being qualified to play as a musician at the level I've gotten to play at. Because those guys taught me so much, and that city taught me so much, and the history of the city and the culture, good and bad, like taught me so much. Um, and then Texas, like, that's like part of my family's from there, and when I go there, the people accept me as though I'm one of them. And I spent a lot of years there too, and it shaped a whole nother part of me and my sound and my personality. But like it's there's so much in there now. It's hard to like separate and figure out what came from where.
Yeah.
But um, I think the short answer though is like the lessons that you learn breed the confidence that you need to kind of step out and be yourself in the bigger world. You know.
Man, that's well said. And I think that translates to regardless of what field you're in, whether you're playing music or, whether you're in athletics or whether you're in business, it is those prior experiences that give you the confidence, maybe even the tragedies, maybe even the worst parts of life is what gives you the strength and the courage to get through like the next part of it.
I'll go further. I
Okay.
I don't even really. I mean, there's obvious exceptions, but in general, like there is no good or bad judgments for me anymore. You know,
No,
it's
break that down for me. What do you mean?
like there's certain cliches that I've heard throughout my life that I realize are not true. You know, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. Fuck that. That's bullshit, right? Like that's not
Totally.
true. But who uses that? You know, people that are probably lazy, people that want to control other people,
Mm,
people that are scared to reveal themselves talk like that. You know, and if you're one of those people, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be. I'm not pointing the finger at you. That's just not how I choose to view things.
yeah.
And so, like, you know, as far as like good and bad, it's like, well, I can view this. I can view 2025 as good or bad, depending on what I want to focus on.
Yeah.
Right? Like, or I can just view it as 2025 just was what it was, and now how do I want to respond to that? You
Yeah.
know, and so you know, I lost a very close friend and I lost a close relative, and they were both very big supporters of my art, and had expressed kind of some of the things that you were expressing about
Yeah.
like the way that I choose to live and how I choose to like navigate the world. Right. So I can take their loss as like something that's going to stifle that which they were um, supporters of, or I can take it as some kind of lesson and fuel to keep progressing in how I want to move forward. So it's not really good or bad. It's just it is what it is. And now like what do I do with it? What is the other people around those friend groups and those family groups, what do they choose to do with it? You know, I know it doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you're or that I'm avoiding the pain or the struggle with it. But at the end of the day, if it's like everything else is going to continue on. So if I'm not if I'm not honoring that too, and I'm stuck in the past about something that I judge as bad, then I'm going to get stuck. You know, and that's not good for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me think of like, I think everybody listening to this has been through the process of losing someone you love. And if you haven't, watch out, it's right around the corner. It's coming for you too. But how do you deal with that? I've come to the idea that losing someone you love the most is the greatest inspiration you can ever have. I know that sounds callous. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about, George? You're going to lose your kid? You're going to lose your wife and think that that's inspiration? What's wrong with you? But I don't think there's any other way to look at it, because I think that instead of taking the time to be sad about people you lose or even a job or anything you lose, like you should celebrate it. Like on some level, you got to spend time with that person for as long as you did.
Hmm.
Like, dude, celebrate that. Like, remember them in a way that you would like to be remembered. And then that's where the fuel comes from. That's where
Right.
the idea to keep moving forward comes from. Is like, look at this, man. That was such a good time with him. I'm so glad I had that time with him. But it's those same feelings and those same deep thoughts for me that music translates into, because on some level music allows me to feel at that level again. I think there's something about music that really transcends language.
Oh
And
yeah,
if it
yeah.
right, it's that same connection, right? What do you think is the connection right there between that? Like, how does that work for you? How do you convey feeling into music? Is it something that comes through you? Is there a certain process you have?
It's like going back to I don't even know if the camera was rolling yet. We were talking about
Yeah.
when I was younger. just having, there was just a knowing,
Right.
whatever, like I can't describe that feeling, and you couldn't see it, but I know it because I felt it.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, getting, always remembering what that felt like and trying to get back to it. But like to answer that question, or kind of like weigh in on that whole thing, is like, for me it goes back to asking yourself questions, and also being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
So like my big question that I ask myself to access some of that is like, what does it mean to be a human, and why are we here, right? And so that's just like a rabbit hole for me, and my,
Yeah.
the way I think to, and I think about it all the time. And so I think the most common way that I've heard it expressed, even though I think it's way more in depth than just um, kind of the saying, but like the idea that we are not humans having a spiritual experience, we're spiritual entities having a human experience. And so with that, it made like the light bulb click. Well, that's how I can connect back to what that original feeling was. Because that, like, whatever that feeling was, wasn't physical, and it wasn't from me. I know that too,
Yeah.
right? That was somewhere else, and it was fleeting, and it was like, hey, this is your. It was an opportunity, is what it was. It came and it went really quick, and I could have chose to ignore it, or I can. I've been otherwise. I chose to chase it. I've been chasing it the whole time. You know, so and it's
Yeah.
not, and it's not. I'm not chasing it just because it provides the art. That was like a life thing.
Yeah.
There was something there.
It almost sounds like I feel similar. Let me know what your thoughts on this. Like the idea of receiving stuff, like the idea that it's not really yours. It's that you've noticed it, and then you receive it, and then you amplify it. Like for me, when I write stuff, I feel like if I'm really writing stuff down, when I was writing my book, like I felt like it kind of just came to me. Like there was a point where I just started writing, and I'm like, dude, I'm not even. This someone else is writing this. Like this is just coming out of me. This is amazing. You know, it's beautiful. It's brilliant. You know,
Yeah.
and of course, it's me saying it about myself. But you know, there's this sort of flow state. But it does feel as if you're tapped into something and you're receiving it. Is that how you feel when you're writing or when you're playing, or what are your thoughts on that? Is that too far out there?
No, I mean, not to me. It's not too far out there, but to other people, it might be. Because people are scared of that kind of stuff, you know. And I know people that are scared of that kind of thought, and I understand why. And
Why?
um, because it goes back to the hard line, good, bad, right way, wrong
Mm,
way. It's like if you can live in that, then you can kind of clear a very narrow, direct path to feeling safe
mm,
in life. Like if I can
right.
just get through the gauntlet unscathed, I might not have extraordinary highs and do extraordinary things, but I also might not suffer extraordinary pain. So I
Yeah.
can just, like, if I can just squeeze through and get, like, do my time, you know, and it sounds very much like a prisoner's mentality. And
Yeah.
the people I know that speak that way, to me, they kind of live that way, like prisoners, you know. But the flip side is like, if you start really tuning in and going inward and thinking about these things, um, you can start to see correlations between, like, how, like really look at the times when you felt really happy, not pleasure, but like true happiness, right? Because pleasure's kind of she's a dangerous one. Like it's not the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But like true happiness, like what in that moment, what about it really sparked that feeling? Not the physical or the thing, but like internally, what was it about what you were feeling that resonated with true happiness? And then, everybody's answer is probably going to be different, but it's going to be a real answer if you're really honest with yourself. Because I bet you there's a lot of people that could do that and then realize like, oh wait, maybe that's not what I thought it was. But I accessed the feeling, and so maybe there's another version of that that's even better.
Yeah.
You gotta go deep on this stuff, George.
I'm with you. I do it all the time, man. I do. You know, one that gets me is like I've taken some pretty big chances and I've lost a lot. And there's times like when I was fired from UPS, when I lost my house, like those are some dark times, man. It's like, holy shit, what am I doing? Even though, it's like you try to hold these two things in your hands. Like one is I have the most incredible sense of liberation. This is the fucking best thing that's ever happened to me. Holy shit, my life's crumbling over here. Like that, those are two real feelings to have and to hold at the same time. And it feels like you're going crazy. But it speaks to that same idea that you were talking about. Like, are you going to try to move your boat through those two rocks nice and safe? Or are you going to fucking go for it? Are you going to take that side route over there? Are you going to chase that dream? Are you afraid to die or are you afraid to live? Which one is
Right.
it? Which one do you want to do? And like, there is that call to the safe harbor. Like, what if I can just be safe? Like, what if I can just get that 9 to 5? What if I could just get that record label? Like, there's a real pull for that to happen to people. And I'm not mad at the people that choose it. Like, I get it, man. It's a tricky decision, especially if you have people in your life that depend on you. It's a real easy way to be like, and we all have people that depend on us, but like, there's always a reason to play it safe on that aspect. And I'm sure in your life, man, I'm sure you've had tons of opportunities to take a different route instead of doing the route you're doing. Like, where do you draw on when you find yourself in those troubled waters? What's your inspiration to be like, this is my life. This is how I'm living. This is who I am.
I guess it's just the realization that people, whether it's a couple of thousand or a couple of million, which I don't think it is, but just the realization that people value what I do. Somebody values what I do.
Yep.
And that's important. Like, I mean, I think about it all the time, right? Like,
Sure.
man, maybe I should find like a different job, or like and every time I start thinking that way, something like knocks on the door. I'll get an email, I'll get a text every time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, it's like I could bail out because it feels safer, and it feels like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's another word for feeling safe.
Succumb to fear.
Yeah, it's like I could do that, but like part of the equation is those questions I ask myself, like what is valuable mean? What is value? I ask that to most people. They're going to say, well, whatever their answer is going to be is going to have something to do with money or the accumulation of things.
Yes.
If I question to myself, like, what is time? Well, my answer is time's not real. Right? There's no master clock somewhere that's running off, the solar system that's like actual time. It's just it's a concept we've come up with to measure and organize. And also like, what was the other one? There's another question I have, but anyway, like it all comes back to like those questions that I ask myself, and then realizing like if time isn't real and value does not equate to things or money, then what I'm doing is like reaching people on a level that's like they find that valuable. Like because they're not getting something from me, they're getting a feeling. And when
Yeah.
when I realized that, it changed um, how motivated I was to keep doing what I'm doing. Because otherwise, it would be like just go find like a steady paycheck somewhere. But like money's not it's not really real, right? Like real truth and real value is nature in life and your connection and your relationship with it. That's what value, and that's what you know that's what matters. So
Yeah.
in that regard, how much money I make doesn't dictate if what I'm doing is successful or not. And also because people bring this one up all the time, like either either what are you doing playing in this little dump out in this little town, or like you know what are you going to do when you get older,
Ah!
right?
That's hilarious.
But I'm exactly I'm very rarely not exactly where I choose to be and want to be, right?
Yeah.
And if our value systems are not the same, then I don't expect you to understand the answer to my question if you're asking me why I'm here playing this music for you in this place. Because a lot of people are like, you should be playing whatever, whatever the big stage is these days. I don't even know. I don't really pay attention. Um, and then that opens up a whole nother can of worms about what the music business is. Like I'm not in the music business. I'm in the business of me, right? It just happens to be that people pay me for music, but like they're not paying me because I'm part of this industry. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah. There's something strange about there's a weird perversion that happens when you give something you love up to money. I'm not saying it can't be done, and I'm not saying people aren't successful at it, but it seems to me like when I'm offered, if people want me to produce a podcast for them, or if they want me to do something that is about influence or doing, and they offer me money, on some level, it almost always loses this is probably a horrible thing for me to say on it, but that being said, I don't have the same energy as if it was mine.
Mm.
Unless it's somebody I really love. Like if it's somebody that I love, George, can you just absolutely I'm in. Let's crush this thing together. I'm a huge part of it. But if I'm only doing it because of the money, that's a better way to say it. If I'm only doing something because the money's a factor of it, it's not my all. It's somebody
Yeah,
else's vision and dream, and it doesn't translate as well. So I can see that aspect of it. And I don't know. I feel on some level, maybe it's being 50. Maybe it's getting to the age of 50 and realizing that, society plays this trick on you about value and time and identity. And if
yeah,
you've given so much of your time, like you're committed, like you have this sort of idea that you have to have this much in order to be this person. But I'll give you an example. When I left a career, I became a father for the first time. I became a husband someone would love to have. I spent like 60 hours working every single week. And then all of a sudden, I'm home with my daughter and I'm teaching her how to play chess. We're going outside playing baseball. Me and my wife are having financial meetings. I'm cooking some dinners. I'm picking the kid up from school. And I'm like, dude, this is what I've missed. This was that hole that I couldn't fill no matter how much money I made.
yeah.
I don't know. I see it on some level as a detriment to so many people's lives. You know, it's interesting to think, man. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's again, it just comes down to what's valuable for you,
Yeah.
right? The person, whoever you are. But if you make routine check-ins with yourself, like you routinely either go in the cave and close your eyes and meet with yourself, or you go in the mirror and stare yourself down. If you're doing that on a regular basis, if you're open-minded and you are in pursuit of knowledge, then whatever that value system is is alive, and it changes. So if you're paying attention to the signs and where that's leading you, or the options it's giving you to follow, then you make your choices accordingly. And my guess is you'll probably continue continue to peel away layers on something, and like continually discover what is valuable to you, and it evolves. You know, um, I it's really it's really important to me to think about these things, express them however I choose to, but also make it known. Like, I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm not trying to,
Right.
like, it's just my version of how I do things. But maybe, if somebody finds it useful or valuable, then there it is. It's out there.
What would you tell, like, if there's a young Adam in his 20s, or a young George in his 20s out there, as someone who's had your experiences as a musician, as someone who is not in the music industry, but people pay you for your artwork, and there's someone out there chasing their dream, what advice would you give to someone in their 20s?
Um, well, talking about 50, it's coming up quick. I'm like 6 weeks out. 6 weeks out.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the first thing would be is I used to try to separate the musician me or the songwriter me or whatever from like regular me, and that's dishonest because it's not true, right? Like everything I do, like, and I'll say this, I'll go
Okay.
this far with it.
Okay.
Um, Wherever we are today, right now, any of us is totally and completely a result of our thoughts and our actions.
Yep.
All of that, all of those choices led me right here, right now with you.
Yep.
So musically, there isn't there isn't advice for the musician in you. There's only advice for you who happens to make music, right? Because I'm not. That's the other thing is, like we talked about, I think earlier before the camera was rolling on this one too. Is like I don't believe in labels or identities. I'm not
Yeah.
a musician's not who I am. It's just something I do. And so conveying all those things to like a 20 something that's trying to make their way with their art, um, I think I think those things are vital, and they're probably not going to take the first time we have that conversation.
There's no
Like you're
way.
gonna you're gonna have to figure out what that really means and how it actually translates to you specifically. Because when I look back now too, like how much advice did other people give young me that it took
Yep.
30 years for me to grasp, and how much of it did I totally and completely dismiss at the time, where now I'm like, oh shit, like it would have been so much easier if I would have. But there's no regret. Like it took however long it took,
Yeah.
and here we are. Like, so it's not regret or anything like that. It's just an observation. But I think those fundamental things about who you are and what you are, and then also what your actual goal is. I think if we're talking like self advice, if I could go back to 20-something-year-old me, would be like have have very definitive goals or well, yeah, definitive goals that you can set into place and not deviate from those unless truth help like not forces you to change course, but dictates that you change course. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I could see where younger me had kind of these loose goals, right?
Yeah.
And that I think that was for a couple of reasons. One was because you just weren't sure about the world around you and your place in it, so it was hard to make a goal, a specific goal. But I think the real answer is the second reason you wouldn't have a hard and fast goal is because if it's loose and a little squirrely, the fear of failing at it is a little softer. So you can't be, if you're scared to fail, then your goals are going to be a little flimsy.
Yeah.
So like if I was as good at going inward then as I am now, I would have went inward and said, all right, this is exactly what I may not know when it's going to happen or what it's going to look like, but this is what I want, and I'm going to stick to it. And go hard at it, and not be, when people ask you what your goals are, don't try to downplay it and pretend like, I don't really have one, or because people are scared to share those things because of judgment from other people. Like if you come up short on their scale of measure, then it makes you feel a certain way. But the reality is you feel how you feel because that's how you chose to feel. It's hard. It's hard to have that confidence when you're that young, but that's what it takes.
Yeah, it's well said.
And also, there's no finish line. So I could wish that I'd learned this sooner, but all that would mean is now I would be looking for the next. I would have to define the next goal. And so, as soon as they're just like little markers. Once you get there, there's going to be more. It never ends. And if it does, that means you're not here anymore. You've died. Your body's gone. I don't know if I'm answering your questions at all.
No, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I might be getting a little too out there for us.
Not at all, man. Now I think we're just starting to get interesting right here, man. I look at, I guess the next question is that I think about all the time is, and this is a perfect time to ask it, what does it mean to be 50? I've been doing some soul searching over the last few years. And I've come to this idea that everything up until a certain age is learning. You don't really know who you are until you're. I don't think so. For me, I can't speak to anybody else, but for me, I didn't really know what I was capable of. I didn't really know what I truly loved. I didn't really know what I truly wanted until in my 40s. And then as those things began to dawn on me, I realized all this other stuff I'm doing doesn't matter. It matters in the aspect of society's idea to provide. It matters in the ideas of the people that I love because I want them to be proud of me. It matters in the ideas of what I was taught in school and all these people, these authority figures that I thought had it figured out. But then you get to a certain age and you realize no one has it figured out. These people are just really good at their line of bullshit. This is what they believed. This is what you got to do. And I think for me growing up, I really cared, and I still really care about people and making the world better. And more than that, I came to the realization the only way you can make the world better is by making yourself better. And
Yes.
so that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that for me was one of the cruxes of becoming 50 is like, holy shit, all these changes. And you know what another good one is too, Adam? And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, is that like I've come to this realization that everything you see is a mirror. All the relationships you have, all
Hmm.
the things you think about other people. Like if you don't like this other person, that's something you don't like about yourself. If you see something in someone, you're like, that's so beautiful. You recognize it because you have that beautiful thing inside of you, but you're being reflected back to you. Like that was a banger for me. Like, oh shit, this is a giant mirror, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts, man, on 50, on the things I'm talking about? What do you think? What's it
I
mean to
think
be?
I think for me, well, one, I'm not 50 yet, so
You're
slow
so
down.
close.
um, but like one of the things for me is like I feel like I pretty much always knew who I was, because if you look at my
Right.
life between the ages of like
True.
4 and 10, I'm pretty much the same person doing the same exact things, right? Like I want to go out and ride my bike, and then I'm going to go ride my skateboard at the local curb spot, and then and then I'm going to pick up my guitar. So
That's so awesome.
yeah, like literally the same stuff.
Yep.
Um, but what I struggled with was not who wanted to become, just how I was going to do it.
Mm.
So how do I take this inner knowing and then bring it out to the outside with all the people telling me like, you can't do that, that's not a real job, like that's not important, that's not real life, that's not
Right.
important, that kind
Right.
of crap. And so that was my struggle. um what was the other one you were saying at the very end there about
The world being a mirror.
yes, okay, so that one I agree with, but I don't think I've been hearing that one for a good 20 years, and the more I've pondered it and thought about
Okay.
it,
Okay.
the more I'm seeing that, like a mirror, it's not a direct reflection. It's sometimes it's
Mm.
flipped, right? Because I've found myself in situations now where like there's a relationship of whatever type, you know, and if somebody is behaving in a way that doesn't jive with my my way of being, it's conflicting, and I say, you know, I make a judgment call on what you're doing, and it's not okay with me. But that doesn't mean that it should be okay with me, and I'm just resistant because I'm scared to look at that part of myself.
Mm.
It could also mean that like at a certain point that that reflection is backwards because I've already been there and gone through that, and now I'm smart enough to know that there's not a place for you in my world right now. Not because I'm right and you're wrong, but I'm smart enough to know what's healthy for me and what's not.
Yeah.
So I could be completely wrong too, but I'm still going to sever that cord between us because I'm still getting my crap together and I'm not ready for that. I can't um, I can't deal with that in a healthy way yet. I'm like, I'm not there. Or maybe, maybe I'm just completely wrong and a total a-hole and you should remove yourself from my sphere or vice versa. But either way, it's not about right or wrong. It's just, you got to trust your instincts.
Yeah.
But that's you also have to maintain and develop your instincts, and they should always. If you're doing that, again, they're always in motion. It's fluid. So that's going to look like a different thing on a different day for different people. That's one of the
Cool.
things. That's what, real quick. That's one of the things, like
Yeah.
in learning all this about all this way of thinking and being, is remembering like 20-something-year-old me needed a hard and fast, direct answer, and there just isn't. There's all these. There's all these like theories, but they're in motion at all times, and so if you can accept that, then it's a lot easier to move forward. But if you can't, and you need an answer to that question before you can ask the next one, you're not going to get as many questions in.
Yeah. Another, that's what I'm learning now, is that there are no answers. There's only better questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you want a good answer, ask a better question, and you still might not get it.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I've been talking to there's for people listening right now, there's I have a friend from Moscow, and she wrote this paper called the Lila Code, and it just talks about the idea of remembering. If you just think about that word remember, a lot of the times when you say you remember something, you're going back and you're replaying a memory. But if you also think about that word remembering, it's like you're putting yourself back together, like you're remembering yourself.
Right.
And I want people to, anybody listening to me right now, start, whenever you say remember, think about putting yourself back together in a new way, like you're remembering yourself. And I think that's a big part of getting older too, is you have the opportunity to go back and relive experiences in your past and rearrange them so that they make sense, instead of bringing up like these old patterns, or this, maybe it's shame or guilt, or maybe it's something that happened. Like you can remember that into a constructive way that helps you become the person that you're supposed to be. So this idea of remembering, I think, is a really good one for people to go there. And I
Yeah, I
what are
like
your
that.
thoughts on that?
I've never heard that before.
Yes.
It makes total sense in my brain.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
um, yeah, and you know, like I know people in my sphere that like can remember a time in a different body on this plane,
Yeah.
right? And all of them swear up and down that we all have that capability. They're not special. It's just that they've gotten to a place where they've opened themselves up to be able to remember that part of them.
Yeah.
So there's so much more that we have access to individually. Like we don't need to get that from somebody else. We just have to learn how to do it ourselves.
Yeah. For me, LSD is the best way to do that. LSD are like giant doses of mushrooms. Like
Yeah.
that's some ways in which I've had some profound remembrance, where I was able to see not only who I am, but I've had some deep experiences where I was able to envision myself in multiple different lives, and not only like remember those lives, but experience them. And I remember coming out of some of these just incredible times and being like, holy shit, I just lived a whole nother life. But that, on some level, that rearranged my ability to live the life I was living. Maybe, and I don't think you have to do it through drugs. I think you can do it through breath work. I think you can be out in nature. I think you can find something passionate you love and remember it that way. But I think that there's something to be said about having the courage to see yourself radically different. As silly as it might be, as ridiculous as you might think it is, as hard as it might be, especially for other people to see you that way. Like if you can see yourself radically different, then you can move towards that difference right there. And that's another part I think about being 50, is that you have a real opportunity about how you want to play the back nine. Okay, you've played the front. Are you going to continue to play like that? Or are there some things you liked or some things you didn't like? And what do you want to change there? Because I almost feel like it's a rite of passage. You know what I mean? Like there's not a whole, at least in the Western world,
Excuse me.
there's not a whole lot of opportunities or rituals. You know, when you're young, like you see some girls have like a quinceañera, or some boys have like a bar mitzvah where they get this chance to become a new person. I think the same thing happens later in life, like sort of this, you know, next phase of adolescence. Like you get an opportunity now, like you've put in the hard work. Now you have an opportunity to become the very best person that you want to be. Maybe you have that opportunity all through your life, but it seems when you get older, time might be kind of winding down, or, you start to see with different eyes on some aspects. What are your thoughts on that? What do you got on that one, Adam?
Well, if time doesn't exist, then you can become who you want to be at any moment.
It's a good point.
You're the next breath away. If you choose to be, you just have to choose that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really that simple, and also not that simple. And I feel like the reason that people start feeling that way at a certain age isn't because of that age. It's because that's just how long it took them to realize it. And some people don't, man. Some people just never do.
Yeah.
It's always been there. We just have to choose to take advantage of it.
Yeah. I got to give my shout out to my friend Lila Lang right here. Lila, I'm so stoked you're here. Everybody listening right now, I'm going to put a link in the notes down there for my friend Lila Lang. She has written some incredible stuff about remembering and the observer versus the field. And it really ties into kind of what we're talking about today too. But if you're listening right now, check out Lila Lang. I'll put all her stuff down in the show notes. That's who I was referencing, Adam, is my friend Lila right here. I'll introduce you. You'll totally love her. She's a super awesome person.
Hi, Lila.
Yeah. And she had some really deep aspects too about what we're talking about you as an individual being the observer and then reality being a field. And when you as the observer come into contact with the field, like you start seeing all of these things happening around you, much like you just said earlier, when you start thinking about like, maybe I should do this other thing, you get an email, you get a phone call, the world comes and knocks on your door like, Adam, nope, over here, knucklehead. We're not thinking about that. We're doing this.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing too, is if you are thinking about it, you're wasting your energy on it. Because it's energy that could be put more into where you're supposed to be.
What is that, Adam? Like, what do you think that is? Like, that's obviously something bigger than the both of us trying to get your attention. Like, hey, don't waste your time on that. Or is that me just conflating and making that up? What do you think that is?
This is always the slippery slope. It's God. Whatever that is for you, that's what it is. Right? To me, God is nature. It's not a person or a being.
Right.
It's nature. Like nature runs like a finely tuned clock if we let it.
Yeah.
Right. And the only time it ever doesn't is because of us, our intervention. And so, like whatever that thing is that is directing you is nature. It's natural. It's truth. And you just, you still have choices and the ability to shape and mold it so that it suits you. But like at its core, there's not a whole lot you can't outrun the truth.
There's no way.
Nope, it's impossible. So like last weekend, spent it out on a ranch with a bunch of crazy friends.
Tell everybody about this, right? Give us the setup on this.
So, a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, is a guy named Luis Escobar, and he's a world-class photographer, and he's also a ultra marathon like legend, and he is one of the characters in a book called Born to Run. And these days he's mainly putting on ultra marathon events like on the West Coast. And so last weekend was one of his events, and it's the most amazing group of people. It's like people from all walks of life that go out and challenge themselves to kind of crack the code on all the stuff you and I have been talking about. Like how, they find their way into this through that.
Yeah.
Um, but I forgot what I was originally. The point was that there was a conversation we had the other night around a bale of hay and some Uno cards, and you had mentioned something that reminded me of it, and I can't remember what it was now.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, um, shoot, there was a point to it. What were you talking about before
We were
that?
talking about what is that? What is that force that comes to you when you start thinking about things and then reality knocks back on the door like, hey,
Yeah,
think
yeah,
over here. And you were like, you're wasting your time. Like you're
yeah,
wasting your time if you're giving energy to that other thing.
yeah, yeah. That's it. So one of our conversations led me to tell my friends that I was with. I think it was in third or fourth grade. What school did you go to? Where were you at that time? What school?
I was at Monta Vista.
Okay, same. So I think it was fourth grade, Mrs. Stafford's class.
Oh, Mrs. Stafford. Shout out to Mrs. Stafford.
Okay, she had a student teacher in there, Mrs. Drum. You remember her? She used to play guitar for the class. But
Imagine that, Mrs. Drum playing guitar.
yeah, it was amazing. But the one and only thing I remember, at least from what happened in front of the classroom, I remember a bunch of the stuff we did as kids. But the only lesson I remember ever was from Mrs. Drum or Miss Drum. And we got in, her and I, like little 7-year-old me, got into one of these types of conversations, like in front of the whole class. And she says, well, just remember this. The only thing you ever have to do in life is die.
Whoa. Whoa. Mrs. Drum coming with it.
Can you imagine, like a little kid? It's like, wow, boom, like blew my mind right there. And so that's like, I've taken that with me this whole time. It's been right there. Right. So when it comes to like what's important, what's valuable, how am I spending my time and energy? I go back to that a lot. So like, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I really spending my energy and time the way I'm supposed to spend it? That that realization that she taught me is like one of the keys to answer those questions. Because if I have to do that today, and like, am I, you know, it's facing the possibility of death is like the fast track to being truthful with yourself. You know, and no one outruns that. No one escapes truth.
Yeah. Death is the best teacher. And no one, maybe not no one, but it's a hard teacher to sit with. And I
Mm-hmm.
think as you've just had a few classes right there. In this year you've been having some real one-on-ones with the teacher right there.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been sitting with it since I was
Me too.
7 or 8. Like, the
Yeah.
story with
Yeah.
my father. Yeah, like I've made peace
Yeah.
with that day when it comes. Before I was 8 years old, probably, and
Yeah.
had to like have to revisit it constantly. So, you know, you want to make sure. I want to make sure, and not just in that regard, but in general, that like I'm always revisiting myself, and that I'm on good terms with truth for me. It's heavy, right?
And beautiful in a way. Like, if that hadn't happened with your father, like maybe that was the gift of life that allowed you to live a life worth living. You know, maybe having that at such a young age was something that inspired you. Like, this is who I am. I'm gonna live my life this way. Like a lot
Yeah.
of times when people grow up without that, they they don't have that fire. Every great biography I read of people, it's always like, when I was young, my mom had cancer. When I was young, this happened to me. You know, and it's this pivotal mark in their life where they just went, I'm going this way. You know, and if
Yeah.
you see it as a gift, like, holy cow, man, maybe that person dying is what allowed me to live.
Totally. And it wasn't a conscious decision at the time, but later I realized,
Right. Right.
like, I see friends and family like coming home from work and they're miserable. They have things, but
Yes.
like they don't enjoy they don't enjoy the reason that they have to wake up every morning. And then
Yep. Yep.
and then seeing, like my father go through all that stuff, it's like, well, what do I really have to lose?
You want to
Like
do this?
why wouldn't I just go do what my inner self is telling me to do, at the risk of what? Like unhappiness, poverty. Like, I grew up in that. We were pretty poor when I was a kid. I already knew how to make peace with pain and struggle, and like we were already friends. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I was already friends with those people, with those things. So like the risk wasn't really that great to me to go out and just do life how I wanted to do it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
This
who
is
knows? Like, if my family hadn't gone through all that with my dad, and like, um, if we had the means for me to, go to like a university and do all those normal things, I might have just done it because that's what you do, and not I wouldn't have had to think about, is that really what you're supposed to do? But all the things that we went through when I was a kid, like, allowed me to question, or forced me to question what was important and what was real and all that stuff. It all comes from that.
do you see it as, I've been seeing this pattern in my life and lots of people that I speak to, but this idea of intergenerational trauma and breaking that cycle. It
Hmm.
sounds to me like that's exactly what you've done. I mean, I got parallels in my life too. And what is your thoughts on that intergenerational trauma and breaking free from those cycles?
It's real for sure. One of the things, like, I'll get into these conversations with certain people, and they will swear up and down that I'm wrong, but like, because have experienced those things, I've gone inward to find my own truth. One of the things I will swear up and down, that like 99.9% of things we call hereditary are not hereditary, they're taught,
Hmm. Learned behavior.
right? Um, and a lot of it is taught unconsciously, because we I don't know that most people get to a point in their development where they stop and go, okay, wait a minute. These are all the things I'm being shown and told. Is that really true? Is that really what life is and how it's supposed to be lived? And I went through that gauntlet where I was sitting with myself when I was a little kid, like closing my eyes and think, like, it's how I would drift off to sleep a lot of times. And I don't know, I know a lot of adults that don't do that now and never have. So like, a lot of what a lot of like the going back to the right and wrongs and life being black and white, a lot of what people put into those categories as this is right and this is wrong and whatever, this is good, this is bad, they've never really stopped to think if that's really what they believe or just what they were taught. And people don't like it. It's offensive to people a lot of times if you ask them to question those things. where to me it's like that's the perfect opening to a conversation like you and I are having.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love that stuff
Me too.
because it's another time to go back in the cave and like really sort things out and make sure that that my vision is clear. That I have clarity.
I think it's too painful for a lot of people. I think it's too painful to go back and revisit these ideas for a lot of people. But it's the only way. And that's probably where death comes in too, because when death comes, you have no choice but to go back and revisit. I mean, you can put it back in the jar and put it back on the shelf, but death kind of cracks open that jar and allows you to like really revisit it and
Yeah,
consider.
yeah. Like I said, no one outruns the truth, man.
Yeah,
That's truth isn't just about this happened this way and you're either lying or you're not. Like that's not just what truth is. It's much broader than that. You
I do.
know. Yeah, it's everybody. Everybody has their own path, but none of us are stuck.
Yeah,
We're not doomed to anything. So like, if you feel that you are, you can choose to change it.
yep,
If you don't, um, whether it's how you look and feel physically, how you think, whatever, like your job, like it can all be changed. You just have to choose to do it. If somebody diagnoses you with something that's hereditary, that doesn't mean that you're doomed. In most cases, like I
yeah.
think I don't know. I don't want to get into statistics because I'll probably misquote or misremember things that I've read or whatever. But nature doesn't. I'll just say this: like in general, nature doesn't really make mistakes, and a lot of the ones that we think are mistakes on our part for what we're actually seeing or experiencing. Going back to this moment right now, like it's every thought, every choice, every emotion. Like I take full responsibility for all that stuff because where I am is on me. And that doesn't mean where I am on the pay scale or corporate ladder or tax bracket. That's not what I'm talking about.
I think that's what it is. I think it's self-responsibility. You know what? Another word for self-responsibility is self-love,
Mm-hmm.
right? Self-love. Like, do you love yourself enough to be honest with yourself? And a lot of the times, these titles or these sort of accolades can be fancy ways for you to get away from doing the work. Like if you have all these things, and in society, you're told if you have all these things, you're worthy of listening to. If you have all these things, then you've done a good job. But I don't know if you are not capable of self-love, are you capable of loving anything in your life? Are you capable of having a loving relationship? Are you capable of really making the important strides? And I love the point, nature doesn't make mistakes. Like it's so human and so sort of egotistical to be like, look what nature did over here.
Mm-hmm.
This giant planet that's been around for billions. Look at this mistake that this guy made. Like, what are you
Right.
talking? It's not a mistake. It's just something
Yeah.
you don't understand.
Right. And that goes back to judging things as right and wrong, good and bad.
Yeah.
You know, like we spend too much time focusing on that and then we get into conflict over that. Well, meanwhile, this thing is still happening and we're not dealing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for most of us, this thing is happening and we're not dealing with it here and here.
Yeah. It's a good point. My friend Clint Kyles. What's up, Clint Kyles? Clint Kyles has an amazing podcast called the Psychedelic Christian Podcast. He's an amazing human being. People should check it out. Clint says, in parenting, more is caught than taught, as they say. Beautiful point, Clint.
I like
So
it.
much of what happens is It's more than words. I would say the majority of communication is more than words. It's that side glance. It's the inflection in your voice. It's the way you do something. It's the actions that you have. Like so much more of that is language than just the words that people put out there.
Well, think about going back to your observation on like generational trauma.
Yeah.
So if we're simply living a life that we think is made upon our decisions and our viewpoints, but it's really us, our version of what we were taught, and who we were taught from was a victim of a trauma that they didn't
Yeah.
take responsibility for, and theirs was the same, and back and further back you go, it's compounded up into you. Then who are you? Like, who are you really, and are your thoughts and decisions really yours?
Hmm.
Speaking of avoiding the truth, I think I need to make a restroom break.
Yeah. Handle it, man. Do it.
All right,
Do it.
I'm going to take these off.
Yeah. If you're hanging out with us right now, Adam Lopez has been on the road for like 40 years. Go down to the show notes. You can go to the link right here and go to Adam Lopez Music. And he's got like this whole genre of music he's doing called future blues. I think it's amazing. And I think if you go down and you check out all of his music out there, I think you'd be blown away by it. To me, there's something so authentic about a singer-songwriter, someone that not only plays music, but like writes the music and feels the music. And all of their music comes from lived experience. And I feel like on so much of the world today, a lot of the music that we listen to, or a lot of music that's played on the radio, is this kind of music that's been in a studio and been sampled and been cut. And then you have someone that comes in and plays this, and another person plays that instrument, and then one person sings, and they're not even really friends. They're just different artists that come in and kind of collab together. But when I listen to Adam's music, I see someone who has built a life of meaning. And I think that conveys not only in our conversation, but in all the different music he's been playing today, or not today, but throughout his life. We're just kind of filling people in on a little bit of our relationship and music and what's going on. And do you feel the same way in nature that you do when you're playing music? It sounds to me the way you've spoken about both of them as an art form and drawing inspiration from them. Do you get the same feeling when you're doing both of them?
Yeah, because it's about the connection with yourself and the world around you. It's not about the thing you're doing.
Right.
Like, that's one of the big misconceptions about, in my opinion, about art and nature and like athletics. People, because especially now with like social media, people are trying to sell you stuff.
Yeah.
To make those things more accessible or easier, as though that's better.
Yeah.
But those aren't fixes for the truth here. Those are things that help you access this, but they're not replacements for the work that really needs to be done to connect with that. Right. So for me, yeah, those are both access points or portals into that, but they're not the thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I would without like I without giving it too much thought, I would assume that that's why both of those aspects of my life are inviting to me. You know, like I want to do those things. I need to do those things.
Clint asks, is that Hank Williams on a skateboard?
Yeah, my buddy Mike drew. That's drawn on the skateboard with a Sharpie.
No way.
That's Willie on that one. I don't know if you can see it.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah, the Hank Williams one, dude, hand drawn with a Sharpie. It's amazing.
Do you ever have you played in Arkansas?
Yeah. I just played there. I played at the Blues Fest in Eureka Springs like in March. Yeah,
Clint, when he comes out there, you got to go check him out, Clint. Mind blowing. You'll love him.
Spent a
Nice.
lot of time there. I love Arkansas, Ozarks, Northwest Arkansas. I love.
What a great way. What a great way to travel the country and do something you love. That makes me inspired. What a great thing to do.
I mean, yeah, it's like it's pretty cool. Like I certainly don't take it for granted, you know. And it's not always like easy and fun, but
Right?
big picture, like when you
When
factor
you
in
look back,
everything, it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
it's super
Yeah.
cool. That's awesome. Adam Lopez, I had to go pick up my daughter from school, man.
Right on.
But I love you, brother. I'm super stoked to get to hang out and talk to you on live. I love talking to you in person too and on the phone, but I'm grateful for your time today, man, to get to come here and hang out with you and pick your brain on a few things I've been curious about. And um, as we're kind of winding down here, though, man, I was hopeful that you could tell people where they could find you, what you have coming up, and what you're excited about.
Well, first of all, I love you too. That's important. Um, and right now, dude, I'm on a break through the holidays, um, writing and recording and just preparing for like what the next thing is. And I don't know. I mean, there's shows starting to get put on my calendar for next year, but right now, what I'm excited about is like I've got these kind of two things happening with like the singer songwriter acoustic me, and then the new thing that I've been doing with the electric sounds and the drum beats, which has gone over really well with audiences. And I didn't expect no I didn't know what to expect on that one. I thought I might be pushing it a little bit, but because I've never done music that I didn't feel or believe in,
Right?
but I've continued to like push the meter every every year about like I really don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about this. This is what I'm going to do. It just so happens that people like it. And when I started doing that thing, I was like, oh no, and this happens all the time. Like every couple of years, I'm like, this might be the one that like just drives my audience away. But it turns out that like
It's the one that drives them to you.
have really been digging it. So I'm excited to really get back in there in the woodshed with that because it's new. Like I started working on that like in April, and I started doing shows with it like in June, and then I took a little break, and then I went back and did some shows on the road like in the last couple months. But like it's like in its infancy as far as what it's gonna be. I think because I'm still like figuring it out and just like developing what that recipe and what that sound really is. Um, and that's pretty exciting because I don't think I invented a new genre, but you do.
I do.
And
Okay.
whatever that is exciting to me to see what is in that well because like I've barely scratched the surface of it.
I know you wouldn't say that, but I challenge everybody listening to this to go and listen to Suicide Doors or the Towns right there. Like that's a whole nother sound, man. And I can't help but also think that everything we were talking about, I think it shows an evolution. I think we're in the midst of an evolution of awareness right now. And this whole conversation leading up to the concept of what it's called future blues. Am I saying it correctly?
Mm-hmm. That's
So
what I call it, but I mean,
yeah,
it's whatever
it
it is. I don't
it
know.
is. It's totally different. It's there's not even really words to describe it. I was like, okay, is it Hendrix and Merle Haggard? No, not really. Is it like Stevie Ray Vaughan? Not really. It's new. It's novel, man. I think when people go and listen to it, excuse me for 1 second.
That's right.
I think when people start listening to it, they're gonna be like, what is this? What is this right now?
Well,
Polar Nights. My friend Polar Nights coming all the way in from Scandinavia. Polar Nights Go check out my friend Adam Lopez music. Tell me it's like something you've ever heard before. He's got a whole new genre, Polar Nights. Check him out. AdamLopezMusic.com. Thanks for being here. I cut you off right there, Adam. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'll say two things about it.
Yeah, let's hear.
For reference. One is, you said listen to Suicide Doors, but if you go like on my Spotify, there's two versions of it, and it's not an electric version and an acoustic version. It's like a rewritten version with the same guts of a song through a different filter. So like chord substitutions and melody alterations that you might do in a jazz tune is really the difference between the two. And if you're a music nerd, you kind of understand what I'm saying. Otherwise, it's just probably going to sound like two different songs with the same words. But the other thing is those recordings are the live show. That's what I sound like by myself with my setup. So you're not going to, like, if you see me advertising a Future Blues show, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's not, I didn't cut that, with a band and then I go out and tour by myself. Right. I cut that by myself. It's live. Like, it wasn't tracked. It's me playing and somebody recording it, and that's it. I think that's important to know.
I do too.
Because that's what, like I said, that's what the show is.
I think radical authenticity is a good way to describe it. And it's such a break from the ideas of what people think you want to hear. I think we've just been inundated with these ideas of what people think is good, and then it's played to the masses. But when I hear something like that, especially the vocals on the Towns, the new one that's on the AdamLopez.com that you have up for free right there, that one. Mm-hmm. Like that, the vocals on that, I'm like, how did you get these vocals so clear like that? I don't know if it's your voice that resonates, if it's the clarity of the recording, or if it's all those things put together with the music. But it's addicting. It's kind of got its own virality to it. It's like contagious in a way. And that's what I mean when I say it's unlike anything I've heard. Like, it's hard to really describe when you try to, even right now, when you're like, it's the jazz set over here and it's got the different melodies, like it's novel, man. I think it is a new genre.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exciting to me, because it's whatever it is, and people are already liking it, but it's not. I just started working on the idea that's like in here. So to see what that becomes, because it's I don't plan these things out. It's like I'm following, right. I'm trying to follow the breadcrumbs. And so it's as much a surprise to me as it is to you as far as what it becomes. So that's exciting.
Maybe it goes all the way back towards the middle of our conversation, when like maybe you're remembering it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's everything and you're remembering it into what it's supposed to be. Like, I think that there's some aspect there, man. We should chase that thread down.
Yeah. Like a music, if we're going to have a music conversation, that's like a whole nother podcast, because
I know
you'll be picking up your daughter from high school graduation instead of like, we'll talk forever. But
we will.
What I would, what was I going to say? I was going to say something I forgot.
Probably how awesome I am or something.
Yeah, probably. That's what I was thinking. Oh man, I forget what I was going to say. What happened?
We were talking about remembering and putting things back together, and then you were talking about how it's still sort of breadcrumbs and coming to you.
Yeah. I don't remember what my point was going to be, but yeah, that's all true. Like it's it's hard to explain. I always like the way Bill Withers explained how he came up with those classic songs. Was his response to that was sometimes something just crosses your mind. That's it.
Yeah. I like Bob Marley when they asked him, how did you write all your songs? Because I didn't write any of my songs. He's like, Jah wrote them for me.
Yeah.
It just speaks to that idea of transmission, like coming through you.
Yeah. And like when people ask me for like songwriting advice specifically, my answer is usually just get the fuck out of the way. You know,
Yeah.
like it's not it's not like a schooled skill.
Yeah.
For some people it is, but the music that I like, it surely isn't. You know, Guy Clark and John Prine didn't go to Belmont to study songwriting 101. You know, they went out and lived life and then wrote about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just get the fuck out of the way.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's good advice, man.
But yeah, we could certainly have a music
Let's do
conversation.
that.
But
Yeah.
we would need way more time that you don't have right now.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back. Let's get another one on the books, man, and we'll come back and we'll
All right.
get into the idea of future blues music,
Oh,
inspirations, and yeah,
that's
what
what I
is
was
it?
gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Look up the song "Future Blues" by Willie Brown.
Okay.
I don't remember what year that record came out, but it's like, oh, I don't know, early 30s.
Wow.
It's like at the dawn of recorded music.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah.
1931.
Woo.
So there's real quick, Willie Brown, one of the original like country blues guys from like pre-war, was known in the South amongst the people on the plantations. Only ever recorded two. You know, back then a record was like a 45, two songs.
Okay.
So I believe he only recorded two records, so four songs ever. And of those four, only two are known to exist. And that's one of them.
Wow.
But if that is not the dawn of like like Robert Johnson gets a lot of credit for like originating rock and roll with his blues. But listen to that Willie Brown thing and tell me that's not like Led Zeppelin before Led Zeppelin. Like
All right.
it's heavy and it's scary. It's intense.
I'm excited to check it out, man. I'm gonna listen to it on the way.
Right on.
All right, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're within the sound of my voice, go to adamlopezmusic.com. There's plenty of links over there. Reach out to him. I highly recommend checking out all his albums. Check out the new music he's got coming out. I think it's a whole new genre. I think people already love it. I think more people are going to love it. And that's all we got for today, ladies and gentlemen. Have a beautiful day. Aloha.